So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hello, hello, hello. What's up, Latchkey Kids and Driving Mutants, or shall I say, Ayan Haseyo if you are new here, Domo Haseyo if you are returning, and also Konnichiwa because tonight we are going into South Korea and Japan for our reviews of episodes 3 of both Hellbound and Ju-On. How is everybody doing? Let me take this banner down. I almost forgot. Hey, what's up to you too? Glad you are here. Let me go ahead and get started. Today, let's start with Hellbound, episode 3. Let me pull up my notes because so much happened in this episode. There we go. Okay, so it's pretty much starts up where episode 2 left off. And if you recall, episode 2 left off with Mrs. Park, or Miss Park actually, being told that they want to televise her, well, what they're calling is, they're calling it a demonstration. It's basically when she found out that she was going to be taken by the Hellions, they're calling that, like when you get that vision and the angel tells you that this is your date and time of demise, they're calling that your decree of damnation. So she had received her decree of damnation, and she spoke to Miss Min, the lawyer, and I don't know how the TV people got in contact with her, but either way, they got in contact with her and they want to televise her demonstration. Let me see, is a comment here. I love your recaps of shows. You notice the things I miss. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm doing a decent job. I'm trying to. So we get to see her sitting, and I had described this last week, but I have a better visual for it this week, of how they cut a hole in her apartment so that people can watch the demonstration. It's pretty messed up when you think about it, because literally they're televising like her literally being killed. And the fact that they're so committed to believing it, like, why did they not question her and think that she was, making it up? It's just a thought that's out there. But So all these people in the chairs in front of her, I'm assuming are some type of dignitaries, and that's why their faces are covered up. Because if you see, look at it from another angle, this is, when she's sitting down, all their faces are covered up. So they don't, they want to watch it, but they don't want other people to know that they want to watch it, apparently. And you could see also in the background that there's a camera crew up here taking photos. These are all like media. And then down on the ground are also people that are holding up signs. So it's just wild. So they start counting down to the actual minute of that her demise is supposed to happen at. So as they count down to her demise, the creatures bust through and they end up getting her, and everybody sees this and they all just bow down. And it's like, are they bowing down to God? Are they bowing down to the demons? Are they bowing down to God so that the demons don't come and get them? I think that's what it is. They're bowing down to God to show piety so that they're not next on a chopping block. That's what I'm thinking. Hey, Bob. Bob says, hey, everyone. Anyone see The Mad God yet? That claymation nightmare? I have heard about it. I actually got a notification on my phone from Shudder that it was released. I heard that it took something like 20 or 30 years in the making. I do know that the director of The Mad God was the same person that did the stop motion in RoboCop and RoboCop 2. So let me see what else happened. Detective Jen tried to save her from the monsters, but the monster just like smacked his ass to the side and pretty much mollywopped him. So he ends up in the hospital because like those creatures are huge. So if one of them smacks you, you're definitely going to be damaged. He wakes up in the hospital. He goes home and finds that his daughter's not home. So he begins to worry because he knows that she's been following the new, what are they called? The new truth. He knows his daughter's following the new truth, so he's worried about her, and she's not responding to his calls or text messages. Oh, wait, I skipped. Tony Man says they did the same mask thing in Squid Games. I wonder if it's a wealthy thing. Yeah, because I do think it's a wealthy thing because the truly wealthy don't want you to know that they're wealthy. That's why I always like, not I always, but whenever you see somebody touting how much money they have on Forbes, they're pretty much lying. They're paying this magazine to say that they're billionaires, but they're not. Because real billionaires keep that shit on the down low. Because they don't want the IRS billing them the appropriate amount of taxes that they should be paying. So these new billionaires that they put on the cover of Forbes, like Kylie and Kanye, they're not really billionaires. They might have the potential to be billionaires. That's why they're posted up there. But it's more of a, what's the word? An aspirational thing. It's not a real thing. I feel like I'm that person telling you Santa Claus is not real. Santa Claus is not real. And the billionaires that they put on the cover of Forbes magazine are not real billionaires. Real billionaires, you'll probably never know their name. You'll never know where they live or what they do because they keep shit on the down low. Bob says, yeah, 39 years to make. I watched it on Shudder. It was good if you like weird art stuff. I do like weird art stuff. 30 years, he means. Got it. So the next thing we see is, are these in reverse order? Yeah, they are. Chairman Jung is being interviewed on the television, and he's basically like telling people that they need to be pious and they need to be very godly so that the creatures will not give them a what did they call it again? A decree of damnation. And he especially says people need to be more righteous. And he obviously they're interviewing him over like Skype or something, but he basically is telling people that you have to be like really, really on the top of your P's and Q's, super righteous, super holy, super pure, so that you don't get the declaration of damnation. Now, that's basically all he said. Well, no, he did dog whistle. He did do a dog whistle because he said that that there's a detective and a lawyer that's helping people that are against him. And that dog whistle was really bad because the detective and the lawyer, all they helped was Mrs. Park or Miss Park's children escape because people were coming after her kids. But because of his dog whistle, you know who is going to take that dog whistle and amplify it to an extreme measure and start yelling about the arrowhead and start yelling about to go get these people. So he pretty much signals to his arrowhead teen punks to go looking for both the police officer or the detective and the lawyer. I like this look though, even though he's crazy as hell. I should cosplay as this one time, but I would have to hook up some black lights. I think I could do it, but I have to. Yeah, I think I could do it, but it might take me a while, and I would have to make that mask because I don't think they sell that. But that's something I would love to do that for Halloween. Tommy says the chairman dude was annoyingly monotone and emotionless when he spoke. Yeah, I think he's meant to be that way. I think he's meant to be numb. So then Miss Min she knows that people are going to be after her. So the first thing she does is try to get her mother to a safe place. And her mother is a frail elderly woman who's battling cancer. And so Ms. Min is trying to get her mother to a safe place. And unfortunately, they get intercepted and her mother gets beat down by the Arrowhead punk teens. And that's really sick. Like, you really got to be sick to beat up an elderly cancer patient. But she ends up taking her mother to the hospital. And while she's in the waiting room, she sees the live stream that those kids recorded themselves beating her mother up. Now, that's some sick. I mean, it's just that's the world we live in today, unfortunately. Really, really is. But yeah, I kind of feel her pain because I'm going on a tangent, but I'll come right back to what I'm talking about really, really quickly. When my stepfather passed away, he was hit by a car. And when I watched the news, I think it was the next day, they showed his hat and the blood on the streets and them washing the blood off the streets with a hose as they were reporting the news story of a hit and run. And I thought, that's so callous. Like, do they not know that people have families? Anyways, that's another story for another day. Let me keep going. Bob Gunter says, I also watched Cannibal Man on Shudder. I thought it would be like a giallo film, but it was more of a character study with gay overtones. That's interesting. I have not heard of Cannibal Man. Bob, let me know what year did that come out? Do you think was that a recent movie or is this an older movie? Because I know Shudder has both. So then after that, Detective Jin is still trying to find Chairman Jung because he knows his daughter, or he knows Chairman Jung would know where his daughter is. These people were actively jumping Detective Jin until he held his phone up and showed that he was receiving a phone call from Chairman Jung, and they backed up off him. But they was giving him the beats for a minute, and you see they broke his phone. It's all like smashed up. Okay. Bob says it's an older movie. Okay, I will take a look at it when I get the chance. I don't know when I'm going to get the chance because I've been kind of busy, but I will try. Next, Ms. Min goes to visit this pastor who says that he has some information about Chairman Jung. So then when she goes to visit the pastor, he plays like an audio interview from the Chairman Jung talking about how he received his decree of damnation 20 years ago. And that this night, the night that Miss Min is talking to this pastor, I didn't catch his name, is the night that Chairman Jung is supposed to be raptured by, I'm going to call them the Hellions, since the show is called Hellbound, the Hellions. And so Miss Min is like, this is evidence. Let me get a copy of that tape. And he promptly erases the tape right in her face. And she's like, well, why would you do something like that? And he says that Chairman Jung promised him that he would become the next chairman and the new leader of, I always forget the name of their group, The New Truth. The new leader of The New Truth at the time of his passing. So, that's where his mind is at. And Bob follows up. He lets me know it's 1973. So it's probably a decent movie. I love horror from the 70s and 80s. I think of any time periods, my favorite would be the 70s and 80s horror. So this dude takes off and leaves Miss Min there to be beaten down, or actually beaten to death by the arrowhead. Because the dude said, that Chairman Jung told him that he needs to destroy the evidence of that interview, and to his words were take care of Ms. Min. And so he said he's not the type of person to enact violence. So he called up them Arrowhead guys, and they came and beat her down. And unfortunately beat her to death, I think. So finally, Detective, why I forget his name, Detective Jin, he catches up with Chairman Jung in a warehouse. And this is when Chairman Jung finally tells him, yeah, I have 10 more minutes before the Hellions come and take my ass. So I just wanted you to witness. But the thing that's interesting is he starts talking to him about how, yeah, I tell people that they need to be good or else they're going to get the Declaration of Damnation. But that's really all a lie because I didn't do anything wrong. I got the Declaration of Damnation when I was 14 years old, 20 years ago. And he was like, I was an orphan. I never spoke ill of anybody. I never was mean to anybody. I never stole anything. There's literally no reason for me to get a decree of damnation. But if I tell people that, all hell will break loose in the streets because people will not know who's going to get the decree because clearly it has nothing to do with sinning. Astrid says, are the creatures opposed to the angels that take them to hell? Or the opposite of angels? Yeah, that's why I'm calling them Hellions. They're described as taking them to hell because when they get a decree of damnation, saying that's pretty much saying that the person's going to go to hell. Then these creatures come and get them, and it's like they suck all their life force out of them, and then the creatures jump through they do like a dimensional jump. It looks kind of cool. So after he's having this conversation, which is actually interesting, I almost forgot to mention, because he was talking about how he discovered through his own receiving a declaration of damnation that these creatures don't have a rhyme or reason for who they choose. And it kind of makes you think of like real life questions that you might ask. Like I remember being younger and wondering, if there is a such thing as good and evil, why do, like, for example, why do babies get cancer? Why do, certain negative things happen to good people in the world? I feel like in a way the show is asking those same types of questions. Hey, curly girl. She says, I thought they were demons. Yeah, I think they're supposed to be demons too. I have this image here because it says Hellbound season 2 is looking for a release date. I did not get it yet, but I'll look it up towards the end of this live stream. This is what the creatures look like for all of you that have not watched the show. There's 3 of them that look like this, and when they come and get him, they do the same thing. They beat a person down, then they all put their hands out over the person and suck out their life force. Let me see if I forgot to mention anything. Okay, at the very end of this segment, Detective Jin doesn't tell anyone. He goes home and he looks really, really traumatized, and his daughter is there, thankfully. So at least he knows where his daughter is. She, on the one hand, hugs him and tries to comfort him, but the look on her face is very unemotional. Like she is not feeling anything. She's either numb or I don't know how you would describe it, because she's definitely part of the New Truth cult. So maybe that's why her presentation is like has a weird affect to it. We also see Ms. Min's body lying near like a riverbank, so we know, or at least we are to assume that she has passed away due to the Arrowhead dudes beating her to death. And then it dramatically cuts to a new character that we haven't been introduced to yet, and he's driving home and he's stuck in traffic, and he looks over and he sees a statue of the Hellions. And I didn't get a screen capture of the statue, but apparently in Korea, in Daejeon, they have this statue out for display. It looks like at a park, but this is what the statue looked like in the show as well. Before I move on to Ju-On, do you guys have anything to say about this episode of Hellbound. And while I'm waiting for you to answer, I'm gonna look up if there's a release date for Hellbound season 2. No, it doesn't look like yet. There's just a bunch of articles, everything we know so far, but not a confirmed release date. What Before I move on, I also want to remind everyone that I will be on Ocean Chicks Films on Saturday. It's going to be a ladies' night, and we are going to be discussing new releases as well as our most anticipated movies coming up. And I believe the show is called Spirits and Screams. Notice that the Saturday time slot is 7 p.m. Pacific time, so that'll be 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So I just wanted to remind you guys that I will definitely be there on Saturday. And let's get into Ju-On Origins, episode 3. Astrid says, the dates are all over the place for season 2. Do you mean that they're listed all over the place? Because when I just Googled, it didn't say a confirmed. Or are you saying that there's multiple dates being listed as the release date? Because maybe I'm mistaking what I was reading. But it's been like that for Kingdom also. For Kingdom season 3, they keep saying that they have a release date, and then they don't have a release date, then they do have a release date, then they don't. So hopefully things will get back to normal. I know it's probably because of, the pandemic. YouTube doesn't want you to say the actual word, but so this episode, we jump back to 1994. Okay. Astrid said too many dates. Yeah. So it's not just me. I thought I was the one like not understanding why there was so many dates. Okay, I feel better now. And as we see in 1994, it starts off showing this guy that's working at this, I don't want to call it a sewage plant. It looks more like it was a recycling plant. And he's getting really, really abused by his supervisor, like getting smacked in the helmet and talked crap about. And so because of, or he's using that as a reason to go home and abuse his wife in a similar way, where he's yelling at her, smacking her around. This is her right here. I think the family's name is Shigematsu. They're the Shigematsu family. And he's smacking her around. He's accusing her of not being honest with him and saying that his son is not really his son. He's accusing her of cheating on him and stuff. And then let me take a moment to read a couple comments. Okay, Bob says, the Erickson sisters were lost in delusions when the cops tried to apprehend them. One of the sisters ran into the road and got hurt, like smashed by a semi, and the other one also ran the road. The sister who got her leg smashed was still screaming obscenities and trying to fight the police, even though her legs looked like empty tooth containers. Bob, I don't know. I'm not connecting where this story connects to the conversation, or maybe you're having a conversation within the comments. And same thing with Tony Man. The Joker sequel as Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Neither of these things have anything to do with what I'm talking about, but okay. Bob says it's escalated from there. I won't spoil it. Look up Life in the Fast Lane, Erickson sisters. Did you lose a few comments about the Joker? Yeah, I must have, because it really went from Astrid telling me about the dates, about Hellbound season 2, and then the comments just they lost me for a minute. But I'm getting back on track. Now I was saying the Shigematsu family. The husband, like I said, he was getting abused at work. He comes home, takes it out on his wife and his child, who he thinks is not his child. And I noticed that they call the little boy Toshigi. And so I wondered if little Toshigi is the Toshi that we come to know from the Ju-On series. Could be. I mean, I don't know whether that's that common of a name, but it could be. He looks similar to the little boy from when we first see Ju-On. And he kicks him out of the house. This little boy who's like 3 or 4 years old. He looks about 4, maybe 5 at most. He kicks him out of the house. Eventually, because all this stuff is happening in the house, a person from child welfare comes to visit, and she ends up removing the little boy because he looks malnourished, and takes him to the hospital. And don't you know, his mother showed up to the hospital, come pick her little boy up with her hair and her nails done and her makeup on. Reminds you of the type of woman you see in the store, but the same thing: hair, nails, makeup done, and children looking neglected. Apparently, that's a thing all around the world. But yeah, so she takes him home, although the social worker does notice a bruise on her arm as well, so she knows that both she and her son are being abused. Okay, Tony Man says, you knew that kid's name. I just called him the creepy pale kid with the black eyes. Yeah, in one of the movies, he says his name is Toshio. He actually he does verbalize it. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I could swear that he said that's what his name was. Hang on, I'm live streaming. Okay, where was I? Oh, the story jumps back to Haruka and Mr. Odojima. Am I pronouncing it right? Odojima, yes. And he's asking her if she will continue to help him to investigate the mystery because it also affected her in that her fiance Tetsuya was murdered. So she says, she doesn't say no, but she doesn't say yes either. She says, let me think about it, which is, I think that's realistic. Later that night, Haruka has a nightmare, but the nightmare is also like very illuminating for her because it kind of shows her what happened to Tetsuya. In the nightmare, she's in the other house, and she sees what Tetsuya saw last, which was, if you look in the background, that's the ghost lady with the baby. That's the last thing he saw before he passed away. Okay. Bob says, I think the naming similarities are just that similarities. But it's also meant to show that this kind of tragedy happens all over. It may be related to the house, or it may be a cultural thing. I think the show is making it seem like these things are, well, I think the show is meant for us to believe that it's related to the house in some way, because everything keeps coming back to that house. Like that house has something that makes people do negative things to each other. Or maybe it's telling the story of how the house became so negative. Because in the original Ju-On movie, Kayako was, her and Toshio were murdered by the husband. And that's why their spirits were at unrest, I would call it. So I'm trying to see how this connects, because it's called Origins. It's probably going to take us through the story of how that house probably had something negative there before Kayako and her family was there. That's what I'm thinking. So then Haruka goes to visit her mother-in-law and tells her, about how she's feeling and how she wants to find out about the house, because she feels like it's her fault, because Tetsuya had proposed to her, and that's why he was looking for houses. And this is what's interesting. The mother basically goes in the room and she's like, I'm going to ask the spirits. And so she lights a candle and she literally asks the spirits where the house is. And what's interesting about the scene is when she lights the candle, the room is light. Like if I go back, This is what the room looked like before she lit the candle. Then after she lit the candle, it's suddenly dark. But a spirit does come through and points out on the map where the house is. But just before the scene ends, you hear Tetsuyo yell, "Don't go to the house." So the mother hears that and she's like, "My son is trying to protect me." I thought it was a really cool scene. It was very well done, very creepy, and a little bit of a jump scare because you don't expect that ghost hand to touch the book and everything. It's really, really cool. Aster says, "Do you like to get the origins of particular horror characters? Are there certain characters that benefit from knowing how they be?" I would say it depends on the type of character. I think um, when it comes to a character like Freddy Krueger, his origin story is really part of him. Like you wouldn't have him if you didn't have the origin story about the parents going to enact revenge and him getting burnt up and how he became supernatural. That I think is like more, I like that. With Michael Myers, I think that they're trying too hard to give too much origin. I like the original story of Michael Myers that he was just a kid that was evil. That's it. That's all. That's all you need to know. We don't need anything extra. They tried years and years. I mean, when did they first start? I wouldn't say Halloween. Was it Return of Michael Myers or Revenge of Michael Myers, where they talked about the Thorn cult, and I don't know. It was just weird. I was like, he doesn't need that. He doesn't need that. Leatherface's origin was interesting because it threw you for a loop, especially when you thought that it was Leatherface was the other little boy than what he turned out to be. That was a good one. Aster says H maybe hit enter before she finished typing or they finished typing. I never know what anyone's like if a person doesn't have a default picture, I don't know what proper pronouns to use, so I just use they. So next, you just see basically Miss. I always have to look at her name to pronounce it. Shigematsu. Miss Shigematsu's outside screaming because her son is hurt again. This time he's going back to the hospital by ambulance, and it turns out that his skull is fractured. And she tells the doctors that her husband did this. And so when she goes in the hospital room, he's all wrapped up, and he's pretty much like in a state of, it's not really a coma. How would I describe it? Because his eyes were open. How do you describe that? Like, and maybe a form of paralysis, maybe a form of brain dead. I don't know, but he was like, the doctor told her that they don't know whether he'll ever be okay again. And so she goes out in the hallway, and this is her in the hallway, pretty much having a breakdown because she said that she thought she was getting her life together, and then this happens to her son. Okay. Bob says, I don't know what season 2 holds, but it seems like its origins, as in the evil, leads to the movie House at some point. Yeah. Well, I know. Well, I'll get to it further in this recap and review about the house. So Miss Shigematsu is at the hospital having her breakdown because her son got messed up. Thank you, Bob. That's the word I was looking for. Catatonic. That's the accurate word to describe what the little boy was like. He was catatonic. And the social worker tries to comfort her and tries to tell her that she can help her, but as she's doing that, when she looks over her shoulder, she kind of sees the ghost. If you look over here towards the left side of the screen, you can see his shadow of the little boy kind of walking by, and so like it's really, really ominous. So I guess she's seeing that he has passed away. He's no longer catatonic. He's just not with us anymore. Then the story jumps back to Mr. Odujima, Odujima, and he is giving a talk at what looks to be like a coffee shop. He's talking about his books, he's talking about his research about the house, and about how he really wants to find out where the house is to complete his research on this mystery. Um, I think I described him as a investigative journalist. I think that's what his title would be. And again, like I said, he reminds me of oh, Forrest Whitaker, Japanese Forrest Whitaker. But he's great. And as he's talking about this, his assistant runs up and tells him, "Well, there's a person that says that they can tell you where the house is, but they're calling from jail." And so he's like, I wonder, should I announce that or not? And he decides to. So he announces to the audience that's sitting there that there's someone that's contacted him that says that they may be able to locate the house for him. And he does say that he's going to visit. And then very dramatically, Haruka shows up and she's like, "Don't go to the house." And that's where the episode ends, like right then, when she's yelling, "Don't go to the house," because clearly the ghost of her fiance told his mother, "Don't go to the house" as well. And that's how this particular episode ends. It's only a 30-minute episode, so if it feels like I'm talking about it a little bit less than Hellbound, that's why. Hellbound is a 1 hour episode, and Ju-On, actually not even 30 minutes, it was like 27, 28 minutes episodes. What Well, before I ask that question, I should give more of a review. I'm rewatching this series more closely this time, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I like the feel of it. It's not going to be as scary to me as the original Ju-On actual movie series was, because the very first Ju-On movie freaked me the heck out the very first time I saw it. I mean, mind you, I saw Ju-On before I saw The Ring, so I didn't have that expectation or I wasn't used to the Japanese ghost girl mythology yet. It was completely new to me when I saw it. And I'm thinking this is a pretty good series as a follow up. I do think they actually could stand to do longer episodes though, maybe 40 minutes instead of like 28, because it does seem to jump around so much and so fast, and also jumping between time periods. So it sometimes I feel like I'm not keeping up with it as well as I could, or maybe I'm just slow. I don't know. I'm a slow American. I need things spelled out for me. No, I don't. I'm joking. I don't need things spelled out for me. But I'm enjoying both shows. And they're a good pairing to watch back to back for me, anyways. So before I move on, that's the infamous house on the show. But I wanted to say that on my other channel, I am still reviewing The Courtship. I have a couple more episodes to go through, and then I'll be done with that series. And also at the same time, I am reviewing and recapping 90 Day Fiancé Season 9, and I will be reviewing the 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise Season 2 starting tomorrow. Tony Man says, "What was scarier, Ju-On or Event Horizon on the first reaction?" I turned both of those off. Literally, when I first watched Ju-On, as soon as Kayako started coming down the stairs, I turned it off. And I came back and watched it during the daytime, because the first time I was watching it at night. And the same thing with Event Horizon. I was watching Event Horizon, and I think it was right when that main character like had no eyes, and he was like standing in the, I don't know. I think it was his wife had no eyes and kept on popping up behind him and stuff. I turned it off, and then I didn't rewatch it for years because I was freaked out. So they're even in my book, because I turned both of I got creeped out and turned both of them off the first time. And it's rare. It's rare for me to turn off a movie. I can pretty much make it through anything, but for some reason those two really, really creeped me out. You guys should check them out. Her editing is on. Oh, thank you very much. Also, I should have on here. No, that's let me stop sharing because I want to share something else. Give me one moment. There we go. Also happening tonight is the premiere on Hood podcast of Obi-Wan Kenobi review, as well as our review for Ms. Marvel. So you definitely want to check that out. I'm going to put the link in the comments here. There we go. You may have to copy and paste it. I don't know whether it's clickable. Let's see here. Bob says, the thing you missed was that I commented that the new Joker sequel is going to be called a French term, which translated to madness for two. Oh yeah, it was called Foi à deux. I think it was called Foi à deux. And Terrence says, hi, Leishasha, just going to say Insomnia thought I would pop in and say hello. Well, hello to you, too. I hope the insomnia doesn't last because I know you got to get up for work. But thank you again for stopping by. I always appreciate hearing from you. Tony says, off topic, Chromebook has crazy updates every day this week. I'm using my phone to watch and type. Yeah, I think it's trying to correct something because the last Chromebook update I had kind of messed up my stuff a little bit, especially my editing software. My editing software's been real glitchy. So I'm hoping that the newer updates will fix that. That's part of the reason why I haven't uploaded my regular edited reviews, because I have a few reviews that I would like to get done. One of them is for Hatching. I want to get my review post for that. I also watched Men, and I'm hoping this weekend to watch it's a David Cronenberg's new movie, Crimes of the Future, I think it's called. I would like to review that as well. But like I said, my editing software has been acting janky, and it's frustrating is the word I would use. Very frustrating. Before I get out of here, I'm just going to open it up for free for all. What should we talk about for the next 15 minutes? Color Girl says, I still want to see Crimes in the Future. Tony says, still waiting for Night of a Comet review. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. It's on my watch list. What are some upcoming horror movies that you all are also interested in watching? Terrence says, I've heard that Crimes of the Future is a disappointment, but Cronenberg is always interesting to me. Tony says, what was the most disgusting movie you've ever watched? Let me think. It takes a bit much for me to be grossed out. I'll say probably the grossest movies I've seen would be Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, and it's only because of the ingestion of defecation. That's totally disgusting. And what's another one? Kuso. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that movie. It's Kuso. It's pretty gross. Mm. I think a lot of people would probably think that like something like Tokyo Gore Police is gross, but I mean, it's not to me. I love the practical effects in it, but I'm not particularly grossed out by it. I'm trying to think of what what really grossed me out. Oh, I remember when I first saw. I was about 14 or 13 years old when I first saw Bad Taste, and the scene where the aliens vomited in a bowl and fed it to somebody else. That was pretty gross. Oh, Terrence, it's no problem. My whole life, I've had people interchangeably use Shasha and Sasha, so it's no big deal. Uh, Tony Man says mine was Stank Mouth. I did not watch all of Stank Mouth. I have to come back to seeing that. I only saw like the first 5 or 10 minutes. Cuso's gross, yes. Bob says Men and Crimes of the Future. Terrence says Black Phone looks good, but Nope is pretty much the movie of the year for me. Oh yeah. Black Phone. I've been hearing a lot of positive things about it, but when I look at the trailer, it doesn't look that interesting. The trailer doesn't look that interesting to me. It seems like something I would definitely watch it if it was on Netflix, but it's not hitting me. Nope looks a lot better. I look more forward to watching Nope. But then I have certain expectations just because it's Jordan Peele. So I definitely recognize that. Bob says, I thought that was the only thing people remembered about from Salo. Yeah, that is basically all I remember from it. I watched it probably 12 years ago because I was on this kick a few years ago where I would just, what started me on that path was probably Martyrs. No, actually, Hot Tension. I think Hot Tension probably started me on that path where when I heard that a movie was just, oh, this is the worst thing in the world, you'll never be able to make it through this movie. I was like, challenge accepted. I'm going to watch that movie just because you said you'll never be able to make it through. And some have been really overrated. Like, for example, to me, Serbian film, like I think because the violence is so cartoonish in it, I couldn't take it seriously. It didn't hit me as hard. Although the subject matter and some of the things that happen are truly sickening, the way that it's expressed, it doesn't hit as hard. I don't know why. Maybe there's something wrong with me that I just wasn't very moved by a Serbian film. Terrence says, I nearly died of laughter the first time seeing Bad Taste. Kuzo was funny to me, but yeah, it was disgusting. Bob says Serbian film for me was just yeah, it's not something I'd ever watch again, but it's also not the most disturbing thing to me. If I mean it should be. That's what's weird about it. Certain things happen in Serbian film that should be the most disturbing thing that you've ever seen in your life, especially the scene concerning the baby. But for some reason, the way it was, maybe it's just the way it was filmed. It was so cartoonish that and unbelievable. Like when something's not believable, you don't take it seriously. And I think that's what it is for me. Tony says, what Japanese movie was the one that was banned? It was an older movie on VHS about diseases. I think the movie you're thinking of is not a Japanese movie, but an actual Chinese movie. I think you're thinking of Ebola syndrome, which I think is either from Shanghai or Hong Kong. It's a Chinese movie. It's not a Japanese movie, but it was banned for a while. And I have a copy of it on VHS. Bob says most films I have no problem with. Terrence says the bit in Whitnail and I with runny egg sandwich, the woman bites in, so I cannot stand that bit. I have to look away. I have not seen that, but that sounds gross. Just your description of it. Curly Girl says Serbian film does too much. You kind of get desensitized. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Terrence says jumps the disturbing shark. Mm-hmm. Tony Man says I've never seen Serbian film. I don't think you would enjoy it because it's moves kind of slowly. It's really it's not. There's nothing to be entertained in it at all. Tony Man, you mean the guinea pig movies? That's just really good special effects. Otherwise, it's just torture. Oh, That's another good example. I have not seen all the guinea pig films or guinea pigu, and I also haven't seen. Is there one? It's called like post mortem or no August Underground. I think it's August Underground. I haven't seen those, and I have not seen the Vomit Dolls trilogy. Serbian film does too much to the point where you just get desensitized. Oh, I think I'm skipping around here. Tony me says bingo, Lady Shah. So it was I just said it. Ebola syndrome. Yeah. Which is that one was an entertaining movie to me. Guinea pig behind the scenes is funny though. Mm, oh, Train Spotting. I saw that in a movie theater. In the scene, the audience just all gasped when he jumped into the toilet. Or quote the dirtiest toilet in Ireland, I think it was, or was it Scotland? It was the dirtiest toilet in Scotland. Yeah, that was pretty gross. And then the audience gasped again when I think it was Sick Boy's baby that was on the ceiling and how its head turned all the way around. And the scene where old dude was trying to, I think he was trying to kick the habit and he was detoxing and he was having hallucinations. I want to watch Men Behind the Sun at some point. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that. I haven't watched it. I think it's more difficult for me to watch things when I know that they come from a true story. And from what I've read about the Men Behind the Sun, that a lot of what is depicted in the movie is true of the experiments that they were doing. Um, it's pretty bad. As bad, I would say, as bad as the experiments that I don't know if some of you have read about the experiments that were done in the concentration camps during the Nazis' reign. It's some pretty sick stuff. If you want to watch a really messed up documentary, watch Titty Cut Follies. It's all about insane asylums. Yeah, I have watched some documentaries about insane asylums, and in America, they were really, really terrible. I mean, horrific. And there's still a lot of footage that they filmed inside those asylums. What's unfortunate is in America, I think we still do need some place for the criminally insane because we have a lot of criminally insane people just walking around in America. We need some place for them, but we don't need to treat them the way they were treated in the previous asylums that we had. I mean, they were literally abused. So I say bring back the asylums, but in a corrected form where people are not being abused, but they're being taken care of, because it's not healthy to just have people wandering the streets or becoming homeless because they're unable to take care of themselves because their mental state is in such a bad way. I just think that's not good for society. And then on top of it, well, then no, I don't want to say that because then people might mistake that for eugenics, and I don't want anyone to ever mistake me for talking about that. But I'm just saying that maybe criminally insane people should also not reproduce. But hey, that's another subject for another time. I don't know. Um, Tony says I walked out of Train Spotting because I was bored, then tried to dye my hair like the blonde dude. I don't know what's wrong with you. Okay. August Underground is on my list after watching a found footage documentary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about August Underground being very very realistic, and the practical effects they use being very realistic, and sometimes them actually doing things in camera. So I always find that fascinating because I've always been fascinated with practical effects. I might have said it before, but I'll say it again. When I was younger, I wanted to be a practical effects technician, but the time period that I came through school to college, CGI was like the thing. In the 90s, early 2000s, CGI was the thing. So I kind of didn't go for that, but I still dabbled in it. I still took some makeup classes. I learned how to self-apply a bald cap. I know how to do different scars, old age makeup. I learned. Um, the things I would have liked to learn, well, I probably still could when you think about it, because there's like tutorials on everything. But it would be fun to learn how to do the different castings in the foam latex. That would be cool to do. I also learned how to paint. Uh, just like when you use the appliances on a person's face, you have to apply paint to make it all come together. And I learned to do that pretty well. Jurassic Park just changed the game with effects. Oh yeah, have you all seen the new Jurassic Park? It's pretty seamless. Like when you look at the dinosaurs, it's really like I can't tell between where they use. I mean, obviously I can tell where they use CGI because the dinosaurs are running and stuff. So clearly, running dinosaurs definitely CGI. But your eye and your mind doesn't um, take it in that way. When you're watching it, you're like, wow, that looks really, really real. I heard the new JP stunk up the joint. What's the new what does JP stand for? Oh, you mean Jurassic Park? Yes and no. The thing with Jurassic Park is it has always been corny. So when people complain now and they're like, "Oh, they shouldn't have done this, they shouldn't have done that." What they did is they pretty much stayed true to the original movie. And if you go back and watch the original movie, yeah, there's some parts that are kind of corny. There's some parts that could be improved on. But that's what Jurassic Park was. You go to see the dinosaurs eat people. Now, the one thing I will say that they could have done better in the new Jurassic Park is shorten it. It felt too long. I felt like I was sitting there for too long. I think it should have been 90 minutes. Would have been good. I think it clocked in, and it felt like it clocked in at over 2 hours. But I will say it was effective because the theater I saw it in, I went to see it in. Let me see if I can find some footage to show you. Of what it looks like inside of the theaters here. Well, there's one of three, it's either 3 or 4 theaters in America that are like this, and one of them is in Orlando. Let's see if I can pull up some. I'm previewing it to see if it's going to show what it needs to show. Okay, I'm going to play this. Let me share screen. Hopefully I won't get dinged because this is from a news affiliate, and sometimes they get feisty about showing their stuff, but Bob says, I would like to make bladder effect those things that make the skin rise. Yes, yes, yes. Those are cool. There's a couple movies where they use those to great effect. There was one, I think it was called Something Beast, where I remember where a person's face started like pulsating. They used those bladders in it. And Terrence says, cannot remember the last truly amazing transformation scene in a movie. Yeah, because you have to do that practical. It's when they try to do transformations in CGI, it's not giving what it should give. And Antoniman says, did you see it on opening night? No, definitely not on opening night. Okay, I'm gonna play this.
Tonight, the silver screen is about to get even more exciting. It is the newest, hottest thing in movie theater technology. And guess where it is? Here. It's called 4DX.
Yeah, think traditional movie theater crossed with a theme park thrill ride. Fox 35's Tom Johnson shows us.
Ever wonder what it would be like to be in that scene up on the big screen? Well, 4DX is a new technology that promises to let you feel that. And the first theater of its kind in the Southeast is now open in Orlando.
Welcome to Regal.
4DX is here. So sit back and get ready. It's going to take you on a movie ride like you've never experienced at Regal Point, Orlando.
You always hear different technologies that immerses you into a movie. This does it. This puts you in the film.
Let's start with the seats. They move a lot.
The chairs rocking and moving with, the roller coaster effect or whatever is going on screen.
And there are also what's called environmental effects.
Snow coming in, rain, wind.
Plus strobe lights and smoke or fog. Everything on screen mimicked by effects off screen all around you.
It really puts you in the movie, and experiencing that for the first time, it really changed your movie-going habit.
A habit that's more like a theme park ride.
The reality is that you are in the movie.
That really reaches out and grabs you. And one more thing, we all know movie theaters are a little cooler than most places, and when the environmental effects start going off in this 4DX showing, it gets even cooler than that, so you may want to bring a light jacket when you come experience this. In Orlando,
Yeah, I can
35 News.
I can confirm that you definitely should wear a jacket. Because it was a little bit cold in there. Bob says, could you get the same effect with mushrooms and a movie playing in isolation tank? Maybe. Terrence says, no thanks, that seems a bit much. Oh, yes. We took my uncle there because he's visiting Orlando, so that's the only reason why we went. And he almost got bounced out of his chair because when the dinosaurs start stomping on people, those chairs start like bouncing you around really hard. And like he said, when it rained, it shot water at you. When there was fog, it would shoot fog into the theater. There's a scene where I don't remember the actor's name. I'm going to call him Star-Lord from now on. Star-Lord was riding a horse in the snow, and they made it snow on us in the theater. It was a lot of fun, except for it was really extreme to see a Jurassic Park in it, because it really, I feel like the movie kicked my ass because how much those seats were moving. And I went to the bathroom, but when I came back, I was told that I missed the parachute scene, because there was a scene where Bryce Dallas Howard has to parachute down, and the seats, I guess, lifted up, and then when you parachute down, it kind of drops, and I missed that part. But there was a lady that was sitting next to me that I don't think they told her that the seats were going to move, because she started hollering, and then when the water shot out, she was like, oh, my hair! Like, I don't think they told her. And which reminds me, Terrence says, I can't imagine blowing popcorn up in my nostrils. She spilled her popcorn. Somebody should have told her not to get popcorn. I don't get popcorn when I go to that theater. I get a bottled water because it has a cap on it, and I get a pretzel because I can hold on to a pretzel. But I don't get. I don't actually. The concession stand should ask you if you're going into the 4DX theater, and it's tell you can't have popcorn if you're going in there, because it just gets spilled everywhere. Was the T-Rex stomping around? Did you feel it? Yes, the T-Rex was stomping around, and it also fought two other creatures that were about as big as the T-Rex. There was several dinosaur on dinosaur fights. But the people that enjoyed it the absolute most, there was a row of little kids, maybe 2 rows behind me. And I mean like age, I would say between 5 and 8 years old. They were screaming their heads off and laughing, and they enjoyed it so much. Oh, it says here, Top Gun is also in 4DX. Now, if you don't like the jostling of the T-Rex jumping your ass in the theater, you probably would like Top Gun better, because the seats will move more like you're in a plane. I think that would be a better experience for people who don't want to be jostled too much. It looks like somebody might have recorded it when they went to see Fast and Furious 9. Let me see if they recorded inside the theater at all. They did a little bit. Wait, does this make it bigger? Yeah, it makes it a little bigger. This is inside of, somebody recorded inside of Fast and Furious. You see the smoke in the beginning, at the front? All right, fast forward through them.
Quick little disclaimer for this video. All right, we're at the Regal. It's like the $18 tickets. of this
Yeah,
one is questionable.
popcorn.
There's like popcorn all in the seats.
There's gonna be popcorn all in the
Not that
seats
I care
because
about cleanliness in a movie theater for the most part, but I'm surprised. I thought Regal was taking extra steps to keep us safe after COVID.
you can a little bit see the seats moving. What they should do.
These also move up.
I don't know if they do.
Must be just
Oh, can't play music because they will definitely dig me for music. What they should do, let me go back to the screen. Since they're shooting water, they should put like disinfectant in the water that they shoot at the people in the theater. Yeah, Bob says, yeah, I don't need my my seat to move. Tony says, I was going to say Top Gun and 4DX would be dope. Yeah, I think that would be probably the most fun movie to see. Yes, 3 minutes till episode 5. I think it's also in 3D as well. Yeah, it is. It's in. It's called 4DX, but you do get 3D glasses as well. Which I end up having a headache because the type of 3D glasses they have, they don't fit comfortably over my regular glasses because I wear glasses for distance to drive. Anything that's beyond 10 feet away from me, I need glasses for. So I took my glasses off to wear the 3D glasses and ended up having a headache. Terrence says a Serbian film in 4DX. No, thank you. All right, it's about 9:40, so I'm about to pack it in because I have some editing to do for my other channel, and I want to get it done so I'm not up till 2:00 in the morning. Bob says, honestly, the water effects and stuff, if you don't have your phone, would be cool. I would be way more into going to a horror movie and getting sprayed with fake blood. Yes, they need to do a slasher movie for 4DX. That would be great. And with the jump scare, the chair should shake whenever there's a jump scare. Some horror movie company has to do that. Has to do a 4DX movie. Okay. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for everyone who came out today, even though it was not at our, regular scheduled time. I kind of like the 8:30 time slot. Tomorrow, I'm thinking, do y'all prefer for tomorrow the 4 p.m. or the 7 p.m.? Tony Man says, use water and not fake blood. Well, yeah, it's going to be water, but what I'm saying, what Bob is saying is that in the movie, when someone gets stabbed and blood squirts out, they should squirt water at you so you get that effect. Guillermo del Toro doing this format. Good. He will know what to do with it. I love Guillermo. I just was recently watching Crimson Peak with my grandmother, which is great. I like that there's still movies being made that you can watch with your grandmother. Although she'll watch anything. She was the one that watched when I very first saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 version. I watched it with my grandmother. So he says, I don't mind 4, but I'd rather it be 7 for selfish reasons. Okay. So I'll keep it 7, but it will be The Hitchhiker and Freddy's Nightmares again. I don't know which one will be first. Maybe I'll do Freddy's Nightmare first, or maybe I'll do Hitchhiker first. I'll decide when I make the thumbnail tonight. And with that, I will say good night. And thank you again for coming. And don't forget to go check out Hood Podcast. I put the link further up the stream to check out our review of Obi-Wan and Ms. Marvel, which I'm enjoying both shows. I'm enjoying Ms. Marvel a little bit more than Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan is taking me back to the original Star Wars trilogy, which I like a lot. I have a nostalgia for that. Yeah, Bob says, I do mean fake blood. I don't care about my clothes. I've always wanted to get a Rami special. Oh, okay. I stand corrected. All right. I will bid you all adieu until tomorrow.
Hey, 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 hey.